Welcome to Healthy and Wealthy Conversations, where we discuss everything that leads to health and wellness for your whole spirit, soul, mind, and body. Hey, it's Casey, and you are watching Healthy and Wealthy Conversations. Today, our guest is Catherine Gagnon. Let's get the show started. This question I usually ask all my guests, no matter what podcast I'm hosting, is I like to get to know their background. So being that this is Healthy and Wealthy Conversations, were you raised in a healthy and wealthy household, or was this something that you had to learn as you grew?
That's an interesting conversation. Yes. My family was, so it was healthcare practitioners. Um, my grandfather was a doctor. My mom was a physical therapist. My dad was involved in pharmaceuticals and kind of hospital administrative care. And we were maybe not necessarily super wealthy, but pretty much middle class. And for me, as a trained, nurse and then nurse practitioner, especially in Canada, in the province of Quebec, that was the province where the salaries were amongst the lowest and the responsibilities were high. When I decided to leave medicine and to practice into my business as a health and wellness coach, definitely working on the money mindset was a big thing. Because, as a nurse practitioner, I never ran out of patients because they came to me and they were, seeking solutions to their issues. As the coach, I get to be the product. I am the service. I am the marketer. I am the brand. And I am also the money mindset, because I can set any kind of investment points that I want to. And coming from a social medicine background where, in Canada or in Quebec, we don't see a bill when we come out of the hospital or out of the clinic. It's people take healthcare not necessarily for granted, but they haven't. I mean, more nowadays, but they haven't been used to invest in themselves like perhaps in the US people have been used to paying, insurance premiums, and the cost of healthcare is just, it's in their face. So when I became a coach, it was interesting to face this kind of duality of, oh my gosh, well, now I'm a business owner and what I offer has value, but how do you set a price tag on something that I've been giving for, my salary as a nurse, but there was never really a number attached to that with people that were not used to investing in themselves. So I had to construct that wealthy mindset, if you will, to attach it to health also, And yeah, so I don't know if that kind of answers the background questions.
Yes, it does. I will say, I would add to that we don't necessarily have health insurance here in America. We have medical insurance, because there's a difference between medicine and using medication and being healthy and taking care of yourself. And I don't know that they know that. Americans just are not knowledgeable in knowing that there really is a difference between medication and being healthy. And that,
Oh,
if
yes.
you learn if you know what healthy means and taking care of your health, and being aware of your body and the different signs of what your body is telling you and how to take care of that, you won't have to actually put so much money in medication in, Medicare and that in that case. And unfortunately, in America, the medical world doesn't educate Americans as much as they need to be educated so they can start taking care of themselves better, unfortunately. So with that said, I'm going to make the assumption, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that your experience with Lyme disease is what caused you to kind of change, going from being a nurse to being a health and wellness coach. Is that
Yes,
correct?
absolutely. Casey, you're right. And I love that distinction, just that you made a little while back, that health does not equal, equate with medications. And when I went through, so it was a chronic Lyme disease that became acute in 2016. I was working as a nurse practitioner back then when I became sick. And honestly, I really quickly realized that the answers were not found in the healthcare system. I had to do my own research, and like extensive research, and pretty much by myself. And if we think of our health as our greatest wealth, I have to say that with Lyme disease, I experienced that because I stopped counting at 75,000 what it cost me to regain my health and my life. And if I had to redo it all over again today, I would do it again. But perhaps with the knowledge that I have today, I would probably save 50 grand out of 75 grand it cost me. But definitely Lyme disease was a gift in my life, even though at the time it didn't feel like that because it felt like I was going to die. It really kind of put it in my face how I was not living in alignment with my true essence. That's when I realized I was no longer aligned with the medical paradigm. I mean, I was a nurse practitioner prescribing pills for conditions that I knew were preventable and reversible with the right, conditions, lifestyle, diet, whatever we use, and that alone, to be in misalignment with the medical paradigm, was contributing to keeping me more sick. But then, I remember for about 4 months, I kind of argued with my soul, or my highest self. My soul was like, okay, you gotta quit this job. It's making you sick. And I was like, what? What are you saying, soul? Like, I've worked so hard to become a nurse practitioner, and I've got my patients and my colleagues and, a job security and a status that goes with it. And my soul was like, no, you got to quit your job and, make the leap of faith into being an entrepreneur, and just know that you're going to be fully supported. So it kind of took me 4 months to kind of take this in and make the leap. And I have to say that the moment I sent my resignation letter, it's like 1,000 pounds had been lifted off my shoulder. I regained energy like this instantly. I was maybe not sleeping better because, being an entrepreneur has different kind of stress, but there was definitely a big weight that was taken off my shoulder. And most of it was to follow my heart, follow my passions, and stop living the life that other people wanted me to live. And that was priceless. And then within 2 weeks of me quitting the nurse practitioner job, I regained not only energy, mental clarity, but I regained like 10 pounds out of the 17 pounds I had lost. And I'm already kind of very lean person. And the body doesn't lie, right? The body was like, oh, yummy. We like this. Thank you. And, like I tell people, it was such a big investment in myself, in time, money, resources, making some brave moves to quit my job. And then later on, it was my partner at the time that I knew we were just no longer quite aligned anymore. And I had heard from, again, my soul that, okay, this had to change. And again, it took me some time. I said to my soul, okay, one divorce at a time. But when we finalized the kind of, the end of the relationship, again, I had kind of an accelerated leap of healing. And truly, I've always had a lot of energy when I was younger. I mean, I've always been very passionate, doing a lot of sports and hang gliding and horseback riding and hiking and biking, kayaking, skiing, and all that. When I was sick, it felt so distressing to not be able to do any of these things that I was really like, man, I don't care how much it costs. Like, my health is my greatest treasure. And it is my greatest wealth. And today I look back and I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad that I just listened to my soul, even at the times that it felt like craziness. But I invested, and then I just turned it around in ways that are pretty much unheard of in the world of chronic Lyme. So yeah, I'm pretty proud and really grateful that I got my health and my life back.
Yes, I'm happy for you. One of the things you said was when you listen to your soul, even though it sounded like craziness. And one of the things I learned from myself, our spirit knows the truth. It's just the reason why it sounds crazy is because for so long we've been deceived and we thought what was wrong is right. So by the time we hear right, we're like, no, that can't be right. And one of the things from my journey and health journey was when I began to hear, whether it was something I saw on TV or a book I read, I would first test things out to see if it was true. And 9 times out of 10, I'd be like, oh, wow, all this time I've been, deceived. And many things I don't even discuss with people because it's so challenging to talk to people who think they know already. So instead
Hmm.
of arguing with people, I keep to myself. And then if something comes up, how come you're this or how come you're not doing that? I would simply say, just get a book and read and do some research. Or, some things are just as some of the things we think are healthy and we thought were healthy and we're told are healthy, they're just not. And you kind of
Yeah.
just gotta, I always tell people, if you see it for yourself, you'll believe it. So most times I don't really tell people what, I just say, go look it up. I said, because you got to see it for yourself before you believe it. And so I'm so happy
Absolutely.
that you've been able to come into the knowledge. So you started your business, you're a health coach. What is one of the things you can say you offer for someone who is just struggling? I believe you do um, coaching for physical and the soul, correct?
Yes. So, one of the things that when I became a nurse back in 2004, and on the first couple of days on the job in a busy ER, one of the first things I remember telling myself was that, wow, medicine had really separated the body and the mind, but truly they don't go one without the other. And what I like about being able to practice transformational coaching, and I call myself an emotional alchemist, is to really be able to help people reconnect their body and their mind, and and transform heavy emotions into energy that help them, accelerate the recovery of illness, feel more peaceful, feel more confident, have more energy, feel like they're forming healthier relationships, more harmonious relationships. So I like to help people who are tired of being tired and worried to regain that sustained, focused energy. And I do it with what I call my energy equation. So I'm both like a scientist and a spiritual person. And for so many years, science and spirituality could not mix, right? But for me, I've always seen health and people in their globalness. And the way that I bridge science and spirituality is the way that I bridge the mind and the body. So I did it through this energy equation because I remember thinking to myself, okay, what is it that people come to me, they feel tired, they feel heavy, and then they leave the session, they say, oh, I feel so much lighter, I feel liberated, I feel so much more confident. And I was like, well, how can I explain this? And so it came to me one morning on my bike ride, because of course that's when I get all my downloads on my bike ride. It came to me by this energy equation. It's like a mathematical equation. So it's how you generate energy. And this is the things we do, food, exercise, sleep, the obvious kind of things that we know will generate energy in our bodies, breathing properly and the right water and air. Anyways, so everything we do to generate energy, plus how we invest our energy strategically in such a way that we have a bigger return on investment, just like money. So we think about, let's say, the projects that are motivating us, or investing your energy in going for a coffee with a friend. Let's say you go in and you feel a little bit blah, and you come out like woohoo, and hopefully your friend is not feeling blah. But you invest that energy strategically, and then divide that by energy leaks. And this is where my specialty lies. And the energy leaks, just to kind of bring it in the more tangible aspect for people, to anything that has some dense, heavy energy to it, like heavy emotions like shame or guilt, anger, sadness, fear. Anytime we compare ourselves to others, or we feel smaller than, or we feel unworthy, or there's all the shoulds, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. The perfectionism and feeling not good enough, or the imposter syndrome, or assuming the worst of other people, or the constant worry about different things. So all of these things are energy leaks. And I tell people, when we start plugging these energy leaks, that's like when somebody comes to the ER. I mean, that's just professional kind of things. When somebody comes to the ER and they have an artery that's like leaking, you want to plug that leak as soon as possible. So this is what we do, but on the energetic side, so that the mind and the body can not only conserve energy by no longer leaking it, but actually generate it and feel more energetic and better as a result. So does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I see here that you offer private coaching programs, online courses, workshops, and conferences. And for those who may need it, I see your website is in English and in French.
Yes.
So just a little bit, what exactly can someone gain from each of those, the private coaching, the programs, online courses? What can they get from that for their own health and their own benefit?
Yes. That's a great question. So I offer some online courses, which is basically putting into digestible information, easy to understand information, a lot of complex knowledge that stems from many studies. Like you've said, when you've done your studies and your research, maybe some people don't want to go do the whole study because you've done it yourself. So this is what I've done for Lyme disease, for example. I have an online course which summarizes hours and hours and hours of research of what it is, what are the signs and symptoms linked to, and the protocol that I developed is on there. How to use the protocol, each ingredient, how to detox. I mean, everything is on there on the course. So it's literally saving people hours and hours of research in a knowledge that's very easy to understand. So I have that in English and French for people suffering from Lyme disease. And I have other online courses for generating energy and understanding where emotions, how to master your emotions, basically. So if somebody is looking to kind of jumpstart having a wealth of information, curated down to the most essential things, then online courses are the way to go. I have multiple conferences that I give around Lyme disease, how to kick the sugar habit, because I know a lot of people, especially during the pandemic, suffering from that. How to master your own emotions and how to understand the cascade of interrupting the kind of the emotional downward spiral and regain more energy and confidence. So the conferences are nice. I give them, a little bit everywhere throughout the year. People on my email list, in my email community, are being the first ones to know when I give a conference. And the one-on-one coaching is really for people who are willing to go deeper. I'm not a coach for beginners. I'm really a coach for someone who's looking for a deep transformation, a situation in their life that they can just no longer live with. They might feel suffocated by that. They might feel very low energy, and they've tried maybe different things, different types of therapy. And they're just at the point where they're like, okay, I need something that will really go to the root of what's been causing that. So that's where the one-on-one coaching is really valuable, to provide this deep transformation that not only heals in the moment what is wanting to surface, like in the body or in the mind, but it's also making these changes that the person becomes not a different person. They become more of themselves and more coherent with themselves without having to remember to be different or to act differently. So one of my client recently, she was saying she's a marathon runner, and we were doing some emotional alchemy together. She was feeling some negative thoughts towards her mother-in-law, and it was really causing a lot of internal distress. Well, throughout our coaching, she sent me a little video. She was just finished her training, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I am running like the wind." Like she literally felt like her body was liberated from, let's say, a ton of bricks that she was carrying behind her, and now she was like literally floating and running like the wind. So her body was showing that from liberating her mind and her emotions. So coaching is more felt than explained, but I hope this brings it a little bit more tangible.
Yes, well, two things. I wanted just to go back on the sugar. I'm glad you mentioned that because most people don't know the seriousness of sugar. It's like you would say third or fourth cousin of cocaine. It does similar things. It just takes much longer to do it. And just like cocaine, it does have a withdrawal process. People call it the sweet tooth. They don't understand that's actually withdrawal,
Yeah.
not a sweet tooth. And I've been on the sugar rehab maybe 5 or 6 times. And then I forget when it was, sometime in 2021, I did a cleanse and a detox together at the same time. And even though for me, I say it was a mistake, it was a good thing because it seriously reset my body to the beginning. So my body after that would not accept sugar. So every time I would eat sugar, I'd get heavily sick.
Wow.
And then I would withdraw. And then at some point I would relapse and then I would get sick again. And the last time was actually in December. I was at my job, one of my jobs, and someone gave my boss this chocolate turkey that she had since Thanksgiving. And it was more sugar than it was chocolate. And so I saw it there, knew I should have never touched it. And I said, I'll just take a small piece. Small piece is not going to do anything. Mind you, even though I didn't like it because it really was more sugar than chocolate, it was very, very sweet and it didn't taste good. Because sugar itself is like a drug, my body was like, you got to get another piece. And I was like, no. And I literally took like 3 or 4 pieces. And then I got so sick. I was like, okay, this has to be the last time. And so I've been off of it since then. And it's not easy. It gets easier day by day, of course. But it's one of those things where I have the experience of it. So I know the seriousness of it. And even during my relapse processes, I started feeling the symptoms of diabetes. And so that's how I knew, okay, I really have to stop because this can get serious to the point to where, they're chopping off my legs and things of that nature. Because one of my legs, I could feel as if I wasn't getting any, it would, like what they say, fall asleep, and I could
Yes,
barely
get
walk.
numb. Yeah.
The big toe was throbbing, things of that nature. And I was like, okay, I need to really get serious about this because my body's letting me know this is not, nothing to take light of anymore. So I went ahead and I said, it's time to do this. And so it's been about, I'll say at the end of this month, it'll be about 2.5 months that I've been sugar free. And now, though, I'm serious now. All the other times I wasn't completely serious. And because of this last sickness, I was like, I have to stick to this because it really is serious. It's really similar to cocaine, and it is an addiction. And it is something you really have to. And the thing is, I feel so much better without sugar. Like I know that it's a good thing to be without it. So I'm glad you mentioned that because most people don't understand the seriousness of sugar to our health. The other thing
Absolutely.
I'm glad you mentioned is sometimes we don't understand that we understand, the toxins and, the lead and the poisoning and that. But we don't, sometimes people don't understand things like jealousy and resentment and anger could be the reason why you're sick. You can take
Yes.
all the medication, you can take all the detoxes and all of that. If you don't deal with whatever happened, whatever it was, or how many, because sometimes it's more than one thing you're upset about. If you don't
Yes.
really take the time to either get a coach or to get a therapist, that stuff can kill you faster than the sugar and the cigarettes and the, cocaine. And so I'm glad you mentioned those things, because people take light of those issues and they're just as serious as the cancer and, whatever else sickness we consider more serious than this. And so thank you so much for mentioning that.
Yeah.
Um,
Thanks for sharing. If I may add about the sugar, thanks for sharing your experience with it. I mean, I had a similar experience when I was sick with Lyme and I had to stop any sugar, no carbs for like 10 months. That meant like no fruit, no flour, no bread, no pasta. It was just meat and veggies. And then that's how my body recovered so much faster. But with sugar, one of the interesting thing is to find out what it is in service of, because oftentimes with sugar, it's what I find with my clients is that there's an underlying need that is not being addressed, or there's an underlying emotion that's not being addressed, and the person will go to sugar in order to not feel that emotion, or to kind of numb themselves from that unpleasant experience. And through some of my neuro-linguistic programming uh, skill or tool, I have a way of literally reprogramming the nervous system in your senses, in the in the visual, the auditory, the senses, the kinesthetic, the touch and texture and taste, to literally reprogram your body to create an aversion to sugar so that you actually no longer crave it and you're no longer even tempted by it. You might even be repelled by it. So just so people know that this is available, and it works like this. It really works quickly because you're literally re-encoding your nervous system with uh, sugar as being this thing, you know?
yes, very much so.
Um,
I do want to
mhm.
add to that, if you are watching this and you're dealing with sugar, or even if your doctor told you it's something you need to either eat less of or stop eating it, get with her. Her information will be in the description. Please get with her, because people don't understand. Most people don't die from diabetes. Most people just die from a sugar overdose, and they don't, they don't realize how dangerous sugar really is. And because it's, how do I say this? I guess because it takes longer than cocaine and it doesn't have the same, I guess, dangerous side effects, which is why it's still considered legal. And I'm pretty sure, they don't have room for prisons to make it illegal sugar. So
Mhm.
I'm sure that's why they're just, there's not, they're not going to speak against it. They're not going to do anything about it. You just have to make up in your mind to let it go, because it's not good for us. So,
Absolutely.
so is there anything else you'd like to share with the people, either with about health or what you offer, anything you think that might be important for them to know?
Yes. Sometimes I get people who are feeling like they're so far off that they're kind of a mess and they're like, oh my gosh, where do I start? And I just want to invite people to see that health is actually a step by step, you know, step by step journey where you don't have to make a total makeover of your life, but just know that every little choice that you'll make in the direction of what you want, it really counts. And I say to my clients, the future is a pile of small present moment choices that will accumulate, a small step at a time. And it's a small hinge that opens a big wide door. So just so that people don't feel like they have to, carry a boulder uphill, that it can be easier and fun than what they probably have tried before or thought about.
Yes. Well, I know for me, if I'm out going out to eat, people look at my plate and they go, "Oh my gosh, you're so disciplined." And one of the things I tell them is my journey started in 2004, and I fell
Mm.
off the bike thousands upon thousands upon thousands of time. It wasn't like a straight, it was like, oh, I'm gonna restart. And I never waited for January. I would say I'm gonna start this again come March, and then March would be here, and then I'll drop off like in June. I'll start again in
Yeah,
July. And so from 2004 to now, it's really been a journey, and it's not something, and it's also a learning process because some
yeah.
things, when I found out it was unhealthy, I stopped it immediately. Some
Hmm.
things I did not. And then everything I know today literally took from 2004 to now to learn it. I didn't learn everything in 2004. There were things I know now I had no clue. Just recently I just learned some stuff. I'm like, what? And some things, like I say, I do immediately. Other things I'm like, all right, it's going to take me some time to get there. But don't compare yourself to other people because that
Mm-mm.
only makes things worse.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
definitely keep going, because you don't want to, people, I know some people say, because I know someone who was a smoker, and they were like, well, we all got to die anyways at some point, so who cares? And I'm like, well, I said, I didn't tell her this because I didn't know it at the time. And I thought, yes, it's true, we're all going to die. The thing is, some people die in pain and some people die in peace. And
Hmm.
it's so much better to die in peace than to die in pain, because sometimes you're looking at 2, 3, 4 years of being in pain before you
Yeah,
die. And so who wants to spend that much time in pain? And so definitely, do what you can to be healthy so that you don't have so much pain um,
totally.
and dying. All right.
Life
So
is so much better with health and energy. It's like 1,000 exponential times better. Yeah. Yeah.
yes, it is. All right. So I want to make sure you get the last word. Just tell us your website, and if you are on social media, where are you?
Yes. So I'm on social media. Facebook is Catherine Gagnon. That's my name, transformational coach. Same name on Instagram, same on LinkedIn. And my website is bilingual, French and English. So it's www.catherinegagnon.ca. So it's CATHERENEGAGNON.ca. And you'll see, the French or the English site. And I would say, if you don't know where to start, I always start with the discovery session where together we can uncover what's been kind of getting in the way, slowing you down, kind of tripping you over from being healthy. We'll look at the subconscious mindset issues that might be really causing you some self sabotage. We'll create a powerful vision for what your healthy life looks like with more vitality and more energy. And then we'll create a step-by-step plan to move you forward. So the discovery session, perhaps the link can be in the show notes, but you can also find it in the different programs on my website. So I look forward to hearing from people who might have felt called, if you like this conversation. And if people would like to have the energy equation, the blueprint, so they can see where their energy leaks are, it's kind of really nice to see it right there. On my website, when you opt into my email community, you'll get this PDF document, which is really a lot of fun to give yourself a score and then see if that score changes over time.
That is all the time we have for you today on Healthy and Wealthy Conversations. I want to thank our guest, Catherine Gagnon, for stopping on by and sharing, and you, the audience, for watching. Thank you. Have a great day.